Alright guys, and welcome to another video. So as you know, tier 5 raids are around the corner, and I thought I'd make a little video talking about some of the biggest loot that drops from the raid bosses that people are probably going to be salviating over, and will likely cause the most drama, tears, moaning and fighting within guilds. Unfortunately, just because of the way World of Warcraft is designed, there are many pieces that are just ridiculously powerful for many different people because they are useful for many different classes. So there will be a lot of people fighting over the same gear pieces. Definitely no more than the belt of 100 deaths. So the first reason why this gear piece is so nutty is obviously because of those 2 gem slots, and we all love gem slots. But the main reason why people want this gear piece so much is because it has so much expertise rating on it. Okay, expertise is obviously a stat that reduces the boss to dodge and parry. This is very useful at increasing a warrior or a rogue's or enhancement shaman to any melee DPS's DPS. But weirdly, it also helps tanks, because tanks are always facing the target. They have an increased chance to be dodged and parried. But with this big chunk of expertise, then they have a higher chance to hit the target, which means more threat generation, which in turn means more raid DPS. So basically all melee DPS want this belt, and so do the tanks, so there'll be a lot of competition for it. The next item we have is the Vestments of the Sea Witch. Now this is basically best in slot for most casters in Phase 5, and even if some people prefer to go for some kind of set bonus, most casters are going to be salviating and wanting to get this gear piece. Obviously we have the 3 gem sockets, which are ridiculous, and although the item may seem like it doesn't have a lot of spell power when you compare it to like crafted gear that you can get in Phase 1, it also has 27 spell hit rating and 31 spell crit rating. Okay, so if you add all those stats together, that is a ridiculous amount of secondary stats, which point for point are going to provide a lot of DPS. As we move into Phase 5, many casters are going to scale more and get more crit, to the point where we're getting like 20 to 30% crit rating on our gear, rather than just having a hit cap and then a little bit of crit. So this is when gear pieces like that are fundamental for particular DPS to do nutty damage. Next we have the Tsunami Talisman, probably the second best physical DPS trinket until Sunwell, essentially. There may be something better in Black Temple. It really depends on how good the proc chance is going to be on live servers. Obviously the stat stick itself is pretty mean. We have a little bit of cheeky crit and nearly 40 points of crit chance, which is basically nearly 2% flat out crit, and then the equip effect, whenever you do crit, you have a chance to increase your attack power by 10 seconds, and it has a 45-second internal cooldown, so it procs quite regularly, nearly twice a minute. And again, as we are scaling into Phase 5, the melee DPS are going to have a higher basal crit chance, which means it was going to just make this trinket more and more powerful as they get better and better gear. And absolutely everyone wants this trinket, rogues, warriors, hunters, enhancement shamans, retribution paladins. So basically anyone who can do physical DPS wants this trinket, so there's going to be a lot of fighting for this one. Now what I want to talk about next is the actual tier 5 sets. So in Phase 1, many classes didn't actually use their set piece because off set pieces just simply simulated more DPS. But in tier 5, the tier sets are just basically better. And most classes at least want 2 pieces of their tier 5 set, so there's going to be a lot of fighting over the tier tokens. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of arguing of, which class it provides the most DPS for, how it best, benefits the entire raid group as a whole. There's going to be a lot of arguing and fighting over all of the tier pieces. Next we have the Lightfathom Scepter, which is very simply and very purely the best healing weapon that you can get in tier 5 for every single healer. Because this item drops from the last boss of a raid, it has a slightly higher item level than all of the other boss raid loot, and you'll find this with many of the other weapons too. So it very just purely has better stats than anything else that you can find in the game. and you will very likely be holding on to this mace until you are doing Black Temple. Next we have the Serpent Spine Longbow, which again drops from Lady Vash, which means the item level is slightly higher, which means the damage, the basal damage of it, will be slightly more than other weapons. Plus, the stat sticks on it are pretty decent, and the actual speed of the bow itself is just absolutely perfect for hunters. And let's be honest, there's probably about 37 hunters in your guild right now who are all going to be fighting over this particular item. Next we have the Fang of the Leviathan, which is the definitive caster weapon in tier 5 that all the mages and the warlocks are going to be fighting over. It's basically an upgrade on anything that you can get in tier 4, mainly because it has a little bit of extra cheeky crit on it. Unfortunately, classes like priests and shamans that can't use swords are going to have to stick to their phase 1 best in slot weapons, since there's no alternative option in tier 5. But luckily in Hyjal they can gain access to a really powerful spell power mace that actually just drops from the trash. Anyway, probably going a little tangent there. And apart from loot that is actual gear, we obviously also have the Ashes of the Alar, which is one of the most sought after mounts in the history of World of Warcraft. And let's be honest, it's, probably going to get raid rolled in most guilds, because that's the more fair way to do it, to leave it to fate. And then the guy who gets it is going to leave the guild in a couple of weeks, okay? Because that always just seems to happen because, it's Sod's Law. Tell me what gear pieces that you think people are going to be fighting over in the comment section below. And that's it for me. Good luck with the loot, guys, in tier 5 raiding. My name is MetaGoblin. Until the next video, ciao.